This week's Parsha Mikeitz continues to deal with dreams and Yosef's ability to interpret them. This time it's Paro, the king of Egypt, who is plagued by disconcerting dreams. Twice during the night, he awoke from his dreams in a disturbed state, and in the morning promptly called for his magicians to come and interpret them. They tried, but their interpretations did not satisfy him. At that moment, the chief cupbearer remembered and recounted his experience of 2 years prior in prison, where this Hebrew slave of the chief executioner was also imprisoned, and had properly interpreted his dreams and those of the chief bakers. Encouraged by the chief cupbearer's recollection, Paro immediately summoned this Hebrew slave, we know to be Yosef, from the prison to interpret his dreams. When Yosef came, Paro told him why he was brought before him. Yosef, however, wanted to be clear as to who was the interpreter of dreams, and prefaced his response to Paro in a similar fashion to the response that he had given to the chief cupbearer and baker 2 years prior in prison. It is not him, but God, who would provide an interpretation to the dreams and peace of mind. Paro proceeded to retell his dreams. Yosef interpreted them and offered advice on how to prepare. At this, Paro exclaimed that it is clear that Yosef truly is infused with the Spirit of God, and as a result there is none as wise as he. Interestingly, all the while, Yosef keeps insisting that it is God who interprets dreams. Yet the Torah does not report any communication between God and Yosef, nor do we see God speaking through Yosef. So how can Yosef keep saying that it is God who is interpreting the dreams when it is clearly himself? While many commentators understand that Yosef's preamble to Paro was a prayer of some sort, or a hope that what he says will truly reassure Paro, it seems from the text that Yosef is saying something else altogether. As we saw from the last week's Parsha, the ability to interpret dreams was not something unique unto Yosef. His father and brothers were also able to do so, perhaps just as well as he could, or even better. If the whole family was able to interpret dreams, perhaps the ability wasn't as esoteric as one might think. Perhaps it was a more specialized skill that one could learn with enough training and practice. Perhaps all that was needed was to pay very close attention to any and all details of the dream, and then to try to understand them in relation to who is and what is the person dreaming. For instance, Paro was no ordinary person, but the king of Egypt. As the leader of Egypt and the one ultimately responsible for all of its citizens, it would be very natural that he would worry about the future of the Egyptian economy and its effect on the people. So with knowledge and context, a truly wise and insightful person could connect the dots and come to a conclusion as to the meaning of a dream. That is what Yosef was telling Paro. Yosef might be able to correctly interpret dreams, but only because it was God who granted him the talent and insight and ability to pay attention to the smallest of details, and then to make sense of all the information in context. Paro recognized that if Yosef could apply his God-given talents and insight into correctly interpreting dreams, then he could correctly envision what needed to be done and properly prepare for the future. In a sense, Yosef was the example that embodied Moshe's message to Israel in Parshat Ekev. One should remember that no matter how successful a person may be, that success is not attributed solely to that person. It was God who gave that person the ability to achieve. It is only in partnership with God and His blessing that a person is able to bring to fruition and success. Whether Paro believed that it came from God per se is unclear, but he understood that Yosef was truly sincere in his belief in God, and that God was the source of his knowledge and understanding. And with the insight that Yosef displayed, it was worthwhile to take anything offered by Yosef very seriously and bring him in to the Egyptian government. Shabbat Shalom.